This book is insane. If you're ever into, you hear someone say, oh, I'm into European comics, the first one they usually talk about is the Metabarons. And it's like hugely influential. I think it's sort of like viewed as Jodorowsky and Giménez's kind of crowning achievement in comic books. It's sort of his Dune in a way. And we know he wanted to make that Dune movie that didn't actually get made. But this is it's this sci-fi fantasy mashup, epic, set across an entire galaxy, a lot like Foundation in that way, over centuries and centuries, with these techno priests and techno scientists and meta this and crazy stuff that. And the Inkle was drawn by Mobius. This one is by Juan Giménez, who is just in a league of his own. He kind of took that Mobius crazy busy style and just, added in these crazy watercolors. And then it kind of reminds me a little bit of what Hector Trunick is doing now with his Transformers and Maverick stuff. So the Metabarons, essentially, they're these perfect warriors, and they have all the resources in the world. They're like fantastically rich and wealthy, and they each of them have some sort of cybernetic enhancement. So this is one father, and there's the son, and so the son gets his ear wrecked, and then he gets like this thing added to his thing. So that's the Metabaron that we meet in the Inkle. So that's like his beginning, essentially. And the thing about the Metabarons are it's father and son. And I think eventually the son has to kill the father to become the Metabaron. But this book, the first book, Othon, is all about how it all got started. You got these cool, funky robots who chat. Like, they're very sassy robots. It's very unusual how they talk. But anyway, you'll have to read it yourself. Essentially, this guy here, Othon van Salza, he was the original. And he was a pirate that married this chick, and this is her father, who was the ruler of this marble planet, where they sell marble to the whole galaxy. And they were kind of like simple people, but they had this sort of secret, and the secret they kept very closely. It had to be within the family to know it. And it was very weird that they were cutting marble by hand using their lasers or whatever. Oz says, nice spaceship. Dude, they're all like that. It's so insanely crazy what Giménez was doing in this book. It's truly nuts. And they did a whole series like this. It's crazy. But eventually what kind of kicks it off is one of them gets crushed. So the main guy, Othon van Salza, gets crushed underneath this marble block, and they have to use their sacred secret oil, which levitates anything essentially, to save him. And that sets off a chain of events. So you can see them levitating it there. Yeah, it's like the Sith. There are no two Metabarons at once, except it's not two, it's one. It's a father and a son, and then the son has to kill the father. This book came out in the 80s. It says Mo, the decade of sassy robots. Yes, secret oils. The art is spectacular, dude. It's next level. It really is crazy to think that they were doing this, hand-painted style over so many books for so long. Anyway, so essentially what happens is now they've revealed the secret to the galaxy, essentially. And so essentially the elder, he finally accepts him, Othon, and he's like, hey, you're going to be the ruler now. You're going to take my spirit, because I'm not going to be here to see thousands of years of our history just kind of be changed now, because it is. Because now the whole galaxy knows about their secret oil, and then everyone comes. So it's a cool thing about this story. It's all set on this one planet, but you just get the feeling straight away that there's this giant galaxy, and they've got an empire and everything all around it. More propaganda from Big Seed Oil. No, this is sacred oil. This is good oil. It can levitate anything. So essentially, the guards, they're called the Endo guards, the Empire guards, actually ended up beating everyone else out. So they had the siege. But Othon van Salza is a hell of a warrior, and he ends up fighting them all off. And it's just he and his son end up surviving out of the whole giant battle against, I think, 1,500 others. But like they're all super reliant on their technology to shoot from far away. So he's like, if I can get up close with just my blade and get in between their armor, I can actually defeat them. And he ends up doing it. So he in essence inherits the entire planet, but his son is he's paralyzed in the battle. Even though he's alive, he's paralyzed. This is cool. Like check out this spaceship. So the Empire learns about the battle and how he won, and they know the oil and everything. They're like, look, we need this oil. We either take it peacefully or we just take it. Sounds like Dune with the oils and spices. Yeah, I think it was his Dune. I read that this was sort of that's what he was trying to do with this story. Galactic oil of oregano. We say oregano, you probably say oregano. And that's essentially what happens. You're exactly right. Just like in Dune. So the Empire comes, it's apparently this couple, they're the emperors. And they're like, name your price. So he says, I want a planet. I want reasonable recompense, like royalties for use of the oil. And he wants a horse for his son. And I think at this point, horses had been extinct for like 10,000 years or something, which so that kind of reminded me of Foundation. So it's like, I didn't even know at this point if this was set in our world, but apparently it is, I assume. That's a great page. That's the one I used on the thumbnail. Beautiful. I mean, I assume it is, and this is like a far distant future. That's why it kind of reminds me of Foundation instead of Dune. But anyway, I might be wrong on that. But anyway, he does get a horse. That's like they used, like Jurassic Park technology to recreate the only horse in the entire universe, so that he's, for some reason, they can't fix his broken legs even in this technologically advanced universe, but they can bring a horse back to life. They do that in sci-fi sometimes, where like in Star Trek they'll have buttons and stuff, whereas even now we have touch screens and stuff like that. Orbital says, I think it's like the year 4123. Yeah, that sort of makes sense. It's the far future. There, that's what I thought when I saw the horse for the first time. Like, oh, this is actually set in our world. Cool. Okay, that was a really good touch. I like that. The horse gets kidnapped by some pirates, and the son, he's got his like little weird robot legs. The son goes out on his little weird robot legs to go hunt them down, but the dad, the Baron, is like, he's not gonna be able to find them because he's too crippled. So he goes out and hunts them, and he says, no, okay, I won't spoil it then. Kramer says, no, don't spoil it. Okay, I'll leave it there. Suffice to say, the father has his nuts blasted off, essentially. So he has to get cybernetic implants himself. And that's where the tradition starts. So that's the sort of first, he becomes the first Metabaron. He develops what's called Metabaronic Weapons, because he's got this massive fortune. He's got nothing to do with it, essentially. So he's just going to, all right, I'm just going to develop these crazy weaponry and ships and cybernetic implants and all that sort of stuff. And that's how he becomes the first Metabaron. So that's the first book. That's Othon, book 1 of the Metabarons. And it really is just absolutely insane. The way it's written is fantastic. They cram so much into it. I think it's about 50 pages, like a normal French bande dessinée. And yeah, so much story, so much epic art. It's next level creativity and next level work. I mean, it's one thing to be able to paint this stuff, but it's next level to actually put it into sequential art. And yeah, just this crazy. So yes, it's got an intriguing story, great visuals, and it's got babes. Oh, the next book, yes. Yes, indeed. So I think, yeah, the next books follow the different Metabarons and different stories and all the stuff that happens. So at least he gets a handicap sticker for his spaceship. I don't think he needed it. But and apparently there is a Hodor, I don't know, Jodorowsky verse, Hodorverse, whatever you want to call it, where all these books and whatever, all these stories kind of come together. So that was pretty cool. I found that out in my research.